Okay, so here we have the brand new DJI RS3 Mini, and man, this is small. Now, this is the DJI Ronin SC, and I've been using this for about 4 months now, and you can clearly see the big difference between these two gimbals. Look at that. Look at how small the new RS3 Mini is compared to the Ronin SC. Now, the SC, of course, has a trick up its sleeve, is that it can detach from the grip, making it even smaller. Now, this video is not sponsored by DJI, but DJI Nordic was kind enough to send over the RS3 Mini for me to test out and review. So that's exactly what I did. Now, I've been testing this out for quite some time now, and I must say I really like it. And I've been using a setup with the Sony a7S III and my 24mm G Master lens, which I am recording with right now, and also my Tamron 28 to 75mm lens. And by now, I haven't experienced any issues at all with the gimbal's performance. Now, when it comes to the weight of the gimbal and how it's set up now with the tripod and the horizontal plate included, it has a weight of 848 grams. But in vertical mode or portrait mode, it's even less than what DJI advertised, which was 795 grams. But you have to take off the tripod to get it below that. But anyway, that is quite impressive if you ask me. But at the end, it is a gimbal. It does exactly what it's supposed to do and what every other gimbal is doing. It stabilizes your footage so you can go out and get smoother videos. Now, I'm coming from the DJI Ronin SC, which I believe came out in July 2019. So I put some years into this gimbal, and there is a few reasons why I haven't changed it out. And one of that is the option to take off the gimbal head itself, leaving you with the grip and the gimbal. And this makes it really portable when it comes to traveling. But it still takes up space because it's the total mass that counts. So this has a bigger mass, even though it can split in half, than the RS3 Mini, which is smaller. Now, you can also do that with the RS3 Mini. You can take away the handle though, but that would be really awesome if we could see that in the next model. But you can still take apart some of the arms here, making it much easier to pack. So the total mass of this is less than the Ronin SC, and that's a huge factor when it comes to packing your bag. It doesn't matter if this is smaller in height. Overall, it's more gimbal than you get with the RS3 Mini. But don't get me wrong, the Ronin SC is a fantastic and amazing gimbal, but it still lacks some of the features that we now see in newer models. One of which is the touch screen that's on the RS3 Mini, and also the easier way of connecting the camera to the gimbal so you can easily control the camera settings and record and stop recording with the gimbal. Something I really missed with the Ronin SC. Now, as I said, I have been using the RS3 Mini for quite some time now, and in today's video I want to share my experience using the RS3 Mini and give you my opinion on whether it's worth looking into upgrading to this or downgrading in size, or if the good old Ronin SC is worth holding on to. So inside the box of the RS3 Mini, you will get the included cable to charge your gimbal, as well as a USB-C control cable to change your different settings like ISO, shutter, and aperture using the gimbal's control wheel. You will also get a quick release plate, but here you can also use your Arca Swiss plates if you already have a setup with that. I'm using the Quick Lock system from PGY-Tech, and this is highly recommended. This works perfectly for me, and it allows me to mount the camera on the gimbal's clamp without needing to mess around with different attachments. There will be a link down in the description below if you want to check that out. Now, you also get this tripod here, which comes in handy when you need to put down your gimbal. So that's everything that you will get in the box once you get the RS3 Mini. Now, my first impression when I first picked this up and went out to do my first shoot with this gimbal, man, it is easy to use. It's the most user-friendly gimbal that I've ever used, I think. The overall quality and feel of the gimbal is pretty nice. The gimbal itself is made out of some aluminum alloy material, and the grip part here is some plastic, and also you have some rubber on the grip itself. So it has a really nice feel to it, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna slip out of my hand. And even when you get all sweaty palms, well, anything is gonna slip, I guess. But I would say I have sort of medium-sized hands, and this actually fits perfect. The grip feels really, really good. Now, what I really love about the RS3 Mini is actually the locking system, that they actually downsized it so it's not as big as it used to be. On the Ronin SC here, it's slightly larger than what we have on the new RS3 Mini, and it doesn't feel as secure. And even when I lock everything in place, kinda wiggles a little bit. But with this, I don't have the same wiggle movement. When things are locked, it seems to be locked, and that's how it should be. So I'm really satisfied with the locking system that they have improved on the RS3 Mini. Not a big deal for a lot of people, but you know, every little bit counts, I guess. So that's something that I'm really happy about. It took me about a minute to balance the Sony a7S III. Even though it's been years since I've done it, if I felt like a complete beginner. I even had to look in the manual to see how to balance this because it's been such a long time. But you know, it's really, really easy and beginner friendly, and for that reason, you know, a big thumbs up. Now with this gimbal, you can also shoot in vertical or portrait mode, but yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of that. I don't think I'll ever shoot any vertical videos with my Sony a7S III on a gimbal. Then I'd rather prefer to hold it handheld or use my phone. That's much easier. But if it happens that you are the person that really wants to shoot vertical or portrait videos, changing from the horizontal over to the vertical shooting mode is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So the first thing you do is to just remove the bracket right here, then the clamp, and take that off and slide it back onto the top of the arm, which is standing up right here. And you're now able to shoot portrait videos. But you will have to calibrate this every single time you swap from the vertical to the horizontal shooting mode, and because of that, I think it's way too much of a hassle to get into. So I'm just gonna keep it like this, and if I'm gonna shoot vertical, I'll do it handheld or use my phone. So being old-fashioned coming from the Ronin SC here, I now have the privilege of owning a touchscreen. This is awesome. This is the first gimbal that I had which has a proper touchscreen, which is super responsive, and actually the first proper gimbal with a touchscreen. I've had and tried so many different gimbals, but it's always been something with the gimbals. And yeah, I feel like I found my gimbal and the gimbal that I'm gonna use. So here we have the touchscreen. On the top left corner here, we have the calibration of the gimbal. And tapping on this, the gimbal will start to shake to determine how much strength has to go into each motor. And a few seconds later, the calibration should be done. Now on the top right corner here, we have the active gimbal status icon. This tells you if the gimbal is properly balanced, and it will also tell you the amount of stress you're putting on the motors when you are tilting the gimbal. So if we now lean the gimbal towards the side here, you can see the icon turning orange, which means the motors are getting closer to its limits. And you don't really want that because in the long run, it's going to damage your motor. So once you see this icon is becoming orange, you want to level it back to the original position to prevent damaging the motors. On the bottom left is the different modes that you can use with this gimbal, like pan follow, pan tilt follow, FPV mode, and you can even choose your custom settings or go into a 360-degree roll. On the bottom right, we have the speed of all these modes, whether you want the gimbal to move slow, medium, or fast. Here you can also set your custom settings if you don't find any of the three settings to work for you. Now, one of the features I like the most with this gimbal is of course going to be the camera controls. This has been something I've been missing on the Ronin SC here ever since I, couldn't get it to work. But with this, it is extremely easy. It's just tap, tap, click OK, and you're connected. It's as easy as that. So to finally have a gimbal that has this is a game changer for me. It's a new era. It's It's amazing, something that I haven't experienced ever. Now, in order to control your camera with the Bluetooth button and be able to record and stop record, you need to link these two up. So you're gonna go to the Bluetooth control button on the gimbal and then enable Bluetooth on your camera. Now, this might not work with all cameras, but DJI has a support list on their website which you can check out and see if your camera is supported. But for the Sony a7S or the Sony cameras, you go into the Bluetooth section under network and then you select Bluetooth function on. Then go to the transfer/remote and you go to Bluetooth remote control and select on. Then we're gonna move back over to the gimbal here, and on the gimbal you will now see a camera or your camera's name. Then we're gonna touch this and you should now be able to start and stop recording using the record button on your gimbal. How amazing is that? This is brand new to me. I've never had a gimbal that I could do this with. Now, as for controlling the camera with the gimbal using the control cable, make sure that you put all the settings before you connect the cable to any of the devices. Otherwise, it might run into USB transfer, which, you know, it's not gonna work like that. So the settings that we're gonna go over and enable is in the same section as the Bluetooth. So we're gonna go down to PC remote function. So over to the PC remote and then select PC remote on. You can now connect the USB-C cable to the camera and to the gimbal, and you should be able to control the different settings like the ISO, shutter speed, and aperture using the scroll wheel on the gimbal. So it's pretty straightforward to get this to work, and that's one of the things I was kind of shocked about, because I expected this to not work at all, because that's what I'm used to. Now, as for the buttons on the gimbal, we have 4 dedicated buttons. On the front side, we have the mode selection button, so you can either change the modes using the touch screen, or you can use this mode button and press that to get into the different modes and the shooting mode that you prefer to use. We also have a record button, which we just went through, and on the side of that, we also have the power on and off button. Now, what I really like about the power button here is that once you single press it, it puts the gimbal into sleep mode, which makes it so much easier to change something like lenses or the focal length of your lens, or to add different ND filters without turning off and on the gimbal. So after changing a lens or adding some ND filter, you can easily press the power button once again to awaken the gimbal. On the back side of the gimbal, we have the dedicated action button. This can be used to recenter the gimbal's position by pressing it twice. Or you can enter selfie mode by pressing this 3 times fast. And also when you're out shooting and you want to do a quick position lock, you can hold this button to enter lock mode. And this will keep the gimbal in the same position regardless of your movement. We also have a USB-C port for charging the gimbal and a NATO mount for adding different accessories like a grip, lights, or a monitor. So this gimbal has it all, if you ask me. It has every single thing that makes your life a lot easier. Now, when it comes to battery life, this has a stated battery life of 10 hours. You're not gonna get 10 hours of battery life, not a chance. This is in perfect conditions. That means you're gonna have the least amount of payload on this gimbal. It's gonna be fully charged. It's gonna sit there until the battery runs out. That's 10 hours. But let's face it, you're not gonna buy a gimbal to use it that way. You're gonna go out and you're gonna chase some action, you're gonna have fun, you're gonna create a lot of cinematic content. So I would say about 7 to 8 hours. Really depends on how much you put on the gimbal. So the setup that I have is 1.3 kilograms with the Tamron lens and the Sony a7S III, but it has a charge time of 2.5 hours. So any small power bank is gonna pump this with some juice, and it's gonna last for another 5 or 6 hours, so you don't really have to worry about battery life when it comes to the RS3 Mini. I think that is quite irrelevant to mention, actually, now that I think of it, because you're gonna be able to charge it anywhere in your car. You can have you know, a small portable power bank with you, which will juice this device pretty fast. So I think it's quite irrelevant, but if you need a number, I would say 7 to 8 hours is what you get with this gimbal. Now, when it comes to the price tag of the RS3 Mini, in US it's $369, in Europe it's €400, and if you live in the UK it's £339. So for what you get with the RS3 Mini, I mean, if you're running with a lower setup or you have a Sony full frame camera with a normal sized lens, I think the price is pretty decent actually for all the features that you get with this gimbal. The low weight and how portable this gimbal is. Definitely worth looking into if you need to upgrade to a new gimbal, or if you want to downsize if you have something bigger and you want something more portable and easy to travel with. So my overall experience with the RS3 Mini, I actually quite like it. If you don't know it by now, it's a huge upgrade from my Ronin SC, and yeah, this is amazing. And like I said, being able to control the camera is a whole new experience for me. Never experienced that before. Oh, it's amazing. So to me, this is the perfect gimbal for my use, and I am so excited to take this out for my next trip, and I can't wait. So I hope you found any value from today's video, and if you did, consider hitting that like button for the algorithm, and also if you haven't subscribed already, that would be really appreciated. Also, click the notification bell if you don't want to miss any future videos, and with that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.